welcome to this next video in the series about strategic perspectives or strategic scenarios. In this small video, I'll be talking more about the trend analysis. I do have some other videos which also explains different perspectives of it, what it is, and a couple of the tools that can be used. So jump over and watch them as well. This one is based on Paul de Ruijters' scenario-based strategy book. It's highly recommended to read the chapters. They're quite easily read and quite precise. So jump over there as well and take a look. But let's start out on it, because why is it that we're actually looking at these strategic scenarios? Well, it is primarily because there is such a thing as an environment that the organization needs to deal with. These environments can be leveled at 3 different stages. If we start from the inside, what's internally in the company, and that's defined by what the company and the organization can control. So if they can control it, if they can set yes, no, more, less, that is what they are looking at this level. Then we talk about the transactional environment. This is often the stakeholders that we have here. This is where we can influence. We think it should be like that, but you have a saying in it as well. It could be that they could influence local politics, it could influence suppliers, it could influence employees, etc. Remember, I told you that was internally, but transactional environment for employees means that we pay the employees something, and therefore they give us their working hours. The last level is the contextual environment, or the context that the company operates within. This is something that they need to accept. Acceptance is the key word, because we cannot do anything about it. If we could do anything about it, we moved it down into the transactional or even internally in the company. The contextual environment is often described by the use of a pestle model. I again have another video where you can look into that, but it's the political, economic, social, technological, legal, environmental issues that the company operates within, often defined by a geographic setting. This is the environment where we need to identify trends that we can look into. However, when we identify trends, we get some observations. These observations we can extrapolate, or we can move them into the future. We have some observations, we have some measurements, we have some information about how things are now. How it moves into the future is a little bit more tricky, and there are a number of ways that we could do that. And as you can see in this small figure next to me here, this means that the same observations, if we use an average, things will continue the same. If we use a linear, it goes straight up in the line. We could also use an exponential curve. It goes up and it becomes huge. Or we could use a sinus curve where it goes up and then will go down. It's the exact same observations, but we put a different extrapolation or a different future trend on it. Which one is the right one? Well, that's quite difficult to tell, and that's why we need to take a look at biases. The image you see next to me here, well, the first many times I saw it, it was a duck. Then I was told, well, it can also be a rabbit. Took a look again, nah, it couldn't be. But then again, yeah, with the ears going back, the eye, and a little white dot next to the nose, it could actually be a rabbit. That's a perceptual bias. It also means that depending on where we come from, we see information in different ways. Remember the extrapolation before. If I have an expectation of things just taking off, well, I'll use the data and I'll say, yes, we are starting on an exponential curve. If I don't expect it, if I think that things are just going to go straight, well, it's the linear, it's the average line that I will be using. Perceptions, the biases is based in where we come from. But I also have a full series on biases, which will tell you a lot more details on it. But think of it in the way that the banker would be looking at the loan application. The guy with the great idea says, well, this is going to be exponential. It's going to be the greatest business ever. But the banker just looks at the numbers and takes the average and says, well, it's going to be like it's always been. How do we change this extrapolation? How do we know which curve it is? We do have a tool. The trend identification process, which I've listed here next to me, has 6 steps. First step, reading. Actually reading about the environment. It can be market reports, financial reports from competitors, articles, etc. The idea is that you get a broad understanding, a broad idea of what is happening. Then you identify some key players, some key stakeholders, which can help validate this trend. In the interviewing of these people, you'll ask them, which relevant trends and developments do they see? What are the important uncertainties? What is it that they're not sure is happening? Where is it that they're seeing things are changing? Then you will ask them, what are the good or the bad world outlook? Where is it that is indicating this good or bad perspectives moving forward? And then have them end up with doing what's called a backcasting. You'll send them into the future and they wake up 10 years into the future. What is it that they have seen? What is it that they will have noticed at that point? What is it that they will look back on and would like to know whether this or that happened? That's what's called key inflection points. I'll get back to that in the next video, but this is where we start our point of saying, where is the world moving? After these interviews, we'll take this into group discussions, invite stakeholders, invite different people who has an vested interest in these futures, have them discuss, get it down. Then you will go out, observe, watch. You need to get these trend points. You need to get these observations in place, not just what people think, but what they are actually doing. All these things you cluster, you group them together to see if it is, and then you end up describing them. These different trends, you want to have them clearly defined with sources. It might be you read something in an article up in the beginning, but that does not mean it is a trend. You need all the rest. All right. Thank you for watching this video. This is a preparation for building the strategic scenarios. In the next videos, I'll move more through the model I have above here, but mission and the trends is our starting point. And then we'll go on with the scenario building. See you in the next video.